Good day to everyone. Today is going to be an exciting segment for our show. And this is a very interesting topic that we are going to discuss today. And it's an honor for me to be hosting this segment. This is your host, EDMUND Santiago. Today we have a very special guest, the CEO of CRJ Partners Capital. And we're going to know more about what is CRJ all about. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce to you our very special guest, David NOUR. David, good morning and welcome to our show.
Good morning, Edmund. Thank you for inviting me.
How are you doing so far?
Doing excellent.
How do you like Philippines? Welcome back to the Philippines. I heard a while ago before this segment start, we've been having a quick discussion. David is been in the Philippines for quite some times, in and out. For how many years, David? You've been in the Philippines?
Not so much in the Philippines, but I've been coming here for short stints,
All right.
on and off for the last 17 years. I'd spend a week here, 1 or 2 years later, I'll spend another week, and so forth. So 17, 18 years I've been coming.
Before I go with the our topic for today, for this segment, would you mind to give me a specific thing that you really love in our country?
Okay. Firstly, the nature of the people here. They're beautiful, kind people that are really very friendly, and they are always very much trying to help you as a foreigner, right? I know, it's not easy for foreigners to come over here, but it's easier to come here than most other countries. One, English is the first language, so you can communicate with English pretty much everywhere, which is very important for communication. But on and above that, the Filipino people are very friendly and very helpful.
Wow, thank you so much, David, for that wonderful words that you saying to our country. It's I can say that I'm a proud Filipino. And later on, I'll just going to ask your favorite food after this important discussion, because normally, if foreigners come to visit the country, besides the place, the hospitality of the Filipino people, they always look for the best food for them. Even though we went back to their own country, they always remember this kind of food,
There's one specific, and the name, I can't pronounce it, but it's a fish that tastes like a steak. I don't...
Oh,
I,
it's a fish.
yeah.
It
But,
cooks.
but it's actually very, from my perspective, it tasted like a steak.
All right, we'll think about it later as we go along. Anyway, so as I said a while ago before we start this segment today, this discussion is very important. It's good to know that our friends from the neighboring country or the other country from other part of the globe, that they love coming back to the Philippines, hospitality, the warm welcome of the Filipinos. And especially, and I can say, and I'm very proud to say, David, that Filipinos are very hardworking and easy to communicate with. Now, as we, the technology, the everything is moving so fast, especially now this era, we are already on the technology, the social media. It seems everything is evolving fast, moving fast, and today I believe we're going to discuss some of the importance of a CRJ Capital Partners being here in the Philippines. So before that, David, would you mind to tell me what is CRJ Capital Partners all about for our televiewers to know more about CRJ? So David, by the way, is the Chief Executive Officer of CRJ Capital Partners. David, please let me hear, or would you mind to tell me more about CRJ?
Certainly. CRJ Capital Partners was formed in 1995. Well, actually, it wasn't called CRJ Capital Partners then. It was called RADA Capital. Then by 2000, the name changed from RADA Capital to CRJ Securities. And then we made the decision to change it to CRJ Capital Partners around about 8, 9 years ago. So all in all, we've been around since 1995. The very core, management core and executive core of CRJ comprises of extremely highly motivated professionals, all of which are stakeholders, because that's what I personally believe in. I believe the best performance you can obtain from any individual is when they are a stakeholder. And a stakeholder meaning that they manage the projects, they manage the transactions, and they are truly partners or associate partners in the ventures and in the business. We've got an office in Malaysia now, and we are about to open up an office here in Manila, which is very exciting for us.
That's nice to hear.
Yeah, very exciting for us. And we have got representative offices in Switzerland, in the UK, and in the Middle East. The associate partners and regional directors in all of these places are very well versed with, and they have to be very well versed with the local environment that they're operating, or the regional environment that they're operating in. That's a very important factor. And on and above their familiarity with the region that they're operating within, they're also required to have international knowledge and on the various aspects of securitization, asset management, fundraising, sourcing passive capital, active capital. We prefer not to source passive capital because that's, in the long run, it does not benefit anyone.
So it's just because passive capital is
Yeah.
just a short term.
Correct.
So it's better. It's a long term. It's better for the
Correct.
country and our countrymen as well.
Correct. We've securitized projects in Papua New Guinea, and on the other side of the world, we've securitized projects in Zimbabwe. Okay, we've as well as Australia, of course. But I mean, these are the, when you say Australia, Canada, the US, they're more palatable and more easy jurisdictions to operate within. But when you talk about Papua New Guinea and Zimbabwe, extremely difficult jurisdictions to operate within. We currently have, and this is definitive, assets under control or under management, not under control, but under management, $45 billion.
All right.
We expect to increase that within the next 6 months by another 20, so 65. And by the middle of 2025, we're hoping to reach $100 billion worth of assets under management.
That's quite a lot. Huh?
Quite substantial. Yeah, but the assets under management is one thing. Then there's the monetization aspect. And what we do is we create the bridge between I'll come back to what I said earlier. The world is changing, and the method for procuring funding for projects are also changing alongside it. And hence our innovative method. But our innovative method does not preclude conventionality. It's combining what is conventional with what is cutting edge. And that's the only way you can succeed in the next stage or economical stage that the world's going to go through. The world's going through a very seeable and foreseeable change. There is definite changes in the economic powers as to who will control the economic positions around the world, and we have to account for that. We have to be cognizant of that fact. And we've put measures or measurements in place and mechanisms in place to be able to ally ourselves, or align ourselves more so, align ourselves with what is required for the next stage, for the next 10 years, for example, 10, 15 years. And that's innovative methodologies of funding major projects. And I'm talking major projects from infrastructure, utilities, things like that any economy requires for it to flourish. You cannot have a flourishing economy without addressing the infrastructure and utility.
Yeah, basically,
the
'cause,
basic stuff.
You mentioned infrastructure. Nowadays, we are more on the focus. The administration, even the past administration, is focusing on the development of infrastructure. We all know, and every one of us knows, that traffic is a very, very big factor hindrancing the fast moving of the economy of the Philippines, because there's a lot of like losses because of this traffic. Instead of being in one place to another place for the quite fast of time, but it took us like an hour staying on the traffic. So there is there a study of before putting an investment to this kind of business? Do you consider that as well?
Best example I can give you is last night. Last night I went from Metro Manila. I've had dinner with some business associates in the Hilton Hotel, Newport World. Okay, it took almost 2 hours to get there.
Oh, wow. That's what I'm saying.
Osmania Highway, Skyway, going to the airport. It was just a parking lot. Now,
Especially the EDSA, we usually say it's a huge, long, and a big parking lot.
okay, if you do not solve the infrastructure problem, it's like building a high rise of 60 stories and having no elevators.
All right.
It's exactly the same thing. Okay, you've got 60 stories, but you've got no way of climbing.
There's no way.
If you use the stairs,
Yeah.
you'll
There's no way for me to stay on the 60th
Exactly.
floor if there's no
correct.
elevator.
That's exactly
It's the
correct.
same thing, the concept like building infrastructure, but not addressing the problem of the traffic.
Now let's go back to the what I pointed out about passive and active investors. Okay, put passive investment aside for a moment. Let's talk about active investor.
All right.
An active investor comes in, they're a manufacturing company or the value add company. They realize the benefits of working. I'm just giving you an example. They realize the benefits of working in the Philippines. One, the Philippines has got a very high percentage of educated people, very high percentage of professionals and semi-professionals who worked outside, right, who can actually be recruited to come back, and they've got international experience. But, and of course, English being the first language is a great advantage. But from an active investor who's going to set up a manufacturing plant or a processing plant or any value add product or any value add structure, service, what they're going to look for is infrastructure. How am I going to move my goods?
Exactly.
Road haulage, railways, ports, all these. This needs to be all in place. And of course, that needs utilities. It needs power. Right?
Exactly.
If an active investor cannot, if the government cannot afford those services to an active investor, the active investor will go elsewhere. And you see it today. You see it around you with Laos, Cambodia, Vietnam, and the growth that's taken place. It's left logically, the Philippines, English is the first language.
Yes.
The level of educated people are very high. The level of semi-skilled and even non-skilled are also very high. That is a workforce that's sitting there ready to be utilized. Right? And yet, a lot of the active investors have chosen to go elsewhere. And it's elsewhere not because all these surrounding, mind you, those surrounding countries are doing great and they're well managed. They chose to go elsewhere not because, let's say use Cambodia for example or Laos, they're better than the Philippines. It's just the infrastructure is better.
It's not the infrastructure. The infrastructure is a big help, and as I can see, correct me if I'm wrong. You're saying the active investor. It's a long-term process. It has a long plan, and it's going to be a big help to our Filipino people. Yes, I agree with that. I totally agree with that. That we are ready. Filipino peoples are hardworking. They're very intellectual, and as I said a while ago, it's easy to communicate. We're just waiting for the right opportunity, for the perfect investment, and definitely with the big support of the administration.
The one thing that's making me feel very positive about the Philippines now is His Excellency, the President, Mr. Marcos. He's young, he's vibrant, he's intelligent. He knows exactly the requirements and what is needed to bring this economy back to a very, very strong level. Now, may I add something which most people don't know? The Philippines was one of the two most industrialized nations in Asia and Southeast Asia prior to World War II. Now, what happened since? I mean, there's a big question mark that I'm trying to find the answer to. You've gone from one of the most industrialized nations in Asia and Southeast Asia to a soft economy, call centers. All these things are, a soft economy is what it says it is. It's a soft economy. It can be hit very, very hard when times are tough. Whereas an economy that's based on value adding, based on manufacturing, the chances of it collapsing is not easy because it's solid. It's built on very, very strong foundations. So, and that's what we're saying. And again, it comes back to how do you bridge, especially when we're starting from the way, way back now. We're starting from way back. Okay, let's not, I don't want to sugarcoat it. I want to say it the way it is. How do you need to have a bridging system. And that's what we provide, the bridging system. Most fund managers, most asset managers, most funders in general, as well as active and passive investors, when they go into a country like the Philippines or elsewhere, they will require a government guarantee. Now, in my opinion, that's detrimental to the government in the long run because it places the government and the balance of payments and the debt ratios and all the other under so much stress. And also it affects their credit rating. So the system or the structure that we place, look, there is no standard structure. We tailor-make the solution to suit. And we do it in such a way that it does not put any stress on the economy, on the financial disposition of the government, because we provide our own guarantees. We don't need the government to guarantee. All we need is for the government to give us safe passage.
Exactly.
Right? To make sure that we don't lose our money. That's all. Or we don't lose
and a full
investors'
support
money.
from the administration.
Correct. That's all that's required. We don't require guarantees as such.
David, I just have a personal question.
Please.
First question: Are we ready for this? The reason I ask this because we all know that 2 years ago we've been hit by the biggest, I can say, disaster of this COVID-19. It's not only the Philippines. We've been hit badly globally, and our economy went down. A lot of business company closed, businesses closed, and a lot of people lost their job because company closed. So, are we ready now for this projects or for this possible investment in this country?
Absolutely. The things like this cannot be delayed, and you can't say, okay, are we ready? Yes, you are ready. You have to be ready. You cannot take a back seat and say, well, look, this is not ready. We've got to wait for these laws to change. All this sort of stuff is superfluous when you plan, or it is not superfluous per se, but it should not be an obstacle when planning the overall macro growth of the economy.
All right.
One should start immediately because you've got a young population that's going to be. You have to find employment for these people.
Yes, definitely.
Okay,
definitely.
Because if you have a very large percentage of under 30 or even under 20, right, that is coming up to the point of, you have to employ them, you have to give them a future, you have to give them a plan, right, for the next 20, 30 years of their working career. Or otherwise, you're going to be left with a very high level of unemployment. They haven't been income producing. That puts stress on pensions, health services, education. I mean, education is a key. I'm a believer in two elements in any economy: education and health. That is the
and it should be any administration or any country should prioritize. And I can see as along with our discussion, if this project will push you, our countrymen will definitely benefit a lot
Yes.
from this
Yeah.
because I used to work another country. I used to work in a luxury liner. I have to leave my family behind in the Philippines for me to get a greener pasture to support. But if I'm going to have a big opportunity, a job opportunity in the country that I can earn here rather than getting out of the country,
Exactly.
I stay here with my family, I work here, same benefits. Why should I go?
Correct.
So, from my saying, if this project will definitely and hopefully it will push you, it might eliminate the option of our countrymen or my fellow Filipinos to go abroad if this project will push you.
I totally agree. And also, that's got a lot of ramifications on the social structure of the Philippines. You know, as you so well put, you stayed away from your family, you stayed away from kids, wife, and stuff like that. The family unity is very, very important. The one thing I've
Definitely.
noticed here, the family unit is so important, and that is something that is missing in other countries, meaning the West in general.
Yeah, especially the Philippines is
Yeah,
a big family ties, a big family
exactly.
connection. In other country, if you're 18 and above, you have to live on your
Correct,
own.
correct.
Here in
Whereas
our,
in the
it's a
West,
part of the culture. Even though we can stand alone, we can stand on our own. Rather, I mean, we can stand on our own. But we love to stay. Like where I'm saying right now. It's we have a compound. My parents, my cousins, like
yeah, yeah,
we're
yeah,
in a
exactly.
compound. Even though we have separate. I mean, I'll go back with what I'm saying a while ago. Instead of living out of the country, stay in the country, have an opportunity. Because I said Filipinos are ready,
Mm,
talented, hardworking, but lacking of opportunities. And the reason why we go abroad is a bigger salary.
correct.
So if we have good investors, good investment, good company, and it's an active investors,
Mm,
it might compensate the needs. Because a simple example, we have like a basic salary, but the salary don't go up. We don't have that raise, but the expenses keeps on
mm,
getting big. You know what I mean?
mm.
So anyway, uh, it's very sounds what do you call this interesting, and I'm excited that this will project will take place as soon as possible. Another question, like, how do you started this? So why, what is your motive, or what is your intention? What is your, the main reason why you put this kind of,
Structures together,
yes.
or we put these
Because of course,
structures.
like, you're not going to just do a certain thing for,
No,
like, oh, I just like to do this. Like,
no, no,
what is
no,
your main
no,
goal?
no. It's very interesting. A lot of people have asked a similar question. I mean, why do you go for long-term projects? Why 10 years, 15 years, 20 years? Why not just go for the hit and run?
Yeah.
We're not hit and run people. Okay, what we call in the financial world pump and dump. Okay, that's the wrong attitude. That doesn't benefit anybody. That is so detrimental to the growth of any country, not just the Philippines, any country, that when you apply this this pump and dump structure when it comes to projects and things like that, that has such a long-term adverse or adversities on the economy, and that's not what we're about. We are long-term. We plan long-term. We plan minimum 10 years, 15, 20, sometimes 30. It all depends. I prefer not, but 30. The primary, when we go into a place, albeit, mining projects, and we've got a lot of mining interests, but mining projects, infrastructure projects, we always have to balance it with the social aspect of what's required. And that's very, very important. The thing about capitalist structures is the capitalist structures of yesteryear did not pay too much attention to the social aspect of what they're doing. The new generation capitalists are different. They pay a lot of attention to the social aspect. and how to benefit the people, not just directly but indirectly. There's a ratio. When I used to work for IBM, I used to do a lot of HR calculations and so forth. And we did our years. We're talking years ago, 1984 now.
Yeah.
Okay, many years ago. For every direct job, you actually create 3 indirect jobs, and that is a solid economy. That is, when you get in an active investor who sets up a factory or manufacturing plant or a processing plant or whatever, right? For every direct job, you've got 3 indirect jobs.
Exactly.
Okay. Now, alongside that, what I personally prefer to see when you have an active investor is for that investor to be able to provide, for example, childcare services for the workers, right? Which is a must if you have, if you got schooling.
Yes,
right?
yes, definitely.
The basic stuff, clinics, not necessarily hospitals, because hospitals are too expensive, but just take care of the primary health care,
The basic health
the
care.
primary education, and all the rest of it. So these people then are able then to get the basic benefits. Then if they need further attention, then that goes elsewhere.
Yes.
That's a very important point. That's not something to be neglected. Because you neglect that, you neglect the needs of the social or the society and the social fabric around you. It's extremely important. Extremely important.
David, does CRJ has a definite goal? Like, for example, or you're just going to invest on this kind of project,
Okay.
or it's anything that can benefit the company or country?
Okay. Let's make one thing clear. CRJ provides the bridge,
All right.
yeah, between the government requirements or the country
All right, I
requirements.
see.
Not necessarily government. Let's call it country requirements. Okay, for infrastructure, utilities, manufacturing, processing, mining, the whole bit. We provide the bridge. We provide the securitization. Then we go into the monetization and then sourcing active investors. We underwrite the active investors' risks. So when and this is a key point here when you talk about the Philippines or any of the surrounding countries, or even any country other than the G7, right, or G20. Most active investors want to have their capital guaranteed. They don't want to lose their money. There's been too many disasters. Okay, I don't want to go into naming countries because it's wrong to do so.
Definitely.
Wrong to do so, but the rule of law is very important. Protecting foreign investments is very, very important. I do not subscribe to the notion where the government has to guarantee an investment. I believe an investment, if it's good enough, it can stand up on its own 2 feet. It does not need the government to guarantee. And plus, with the current geo-economic and position, most governments are not going to be able to guarantee anything because whatever borrowings they had, paying 2-3% interest rate, it's going to skyrocket to 6, 7, 8%. That's not going to leave any room for governments to give guarantees. And it's also going to affect the country rating, short, medium, and long term of many countries, not just the Philippines.
Wow. I can see this project of CRJ is very, very promising, and it can help a lot, a big help to our country itself. It's been you've been doing a lot, you've done a lot. Personally, David, before we finish our discussion for today, this few minutes is not enough for us to discuss a lot of things
Yes.
because I can see the way we talk, the way we discuss, it's very exciting, and I'm very happy. I'm looking forward for that. I said you've done a lot, you've been doing a lot. Is there still anything that still want you to do in regards to what CRJ vision and mission?
Okay, we just want to keep doing what we're doing. Okay, none of us are getting younger,
All right.
so we just well, you can see that by the way. We just keep doing what we're doing, and hopefully, and that the world will recognize that this methodology this method of bridging the assets, with the funding, with the social aspect of required for economies and societies is the way to go in the future. It has to start somewhere, okay? And we've started it, and we've been successful, and we'll be more successful. And we are, we're no longer, because of the plan that we've put in place with the various regions and the various regions being coordinated by the respective directors of the regions, we're actually, we amazingly enough, we're well received pretty much everywhere we go. Everywhere we go. So, because we're genuine about what we're doing, we're not, everything is transparent with us. We don't hide any of the elements that we do. It's done in such a way that to benefit, really genuinely benefit the economy of the jurisdiction that we were operating within. I'm not saying, of course, there's profits. Nobody can deny that, but it's kept at a reasonable amount, not astronomical.
Yeah. All right, David, for your last message, because I'm gonna keep on saying, because I feel an excitement, and I really pray that this project will push through. And now I can say it's an honor for me to be part, because we started today that we're looking for a very, very successful project. Would you like to leave a message to our country, to our Filipino people, from the CRJ?
Firstly, be proud of being Filipino. It's very, very important. You're a wonderful, wonderful group of people, and you should be very, very proud. Proud of who you are, proud of what you've become, and what you will achieve. And everything has a sacrifice, and that's true. But at the end of the sacrifice, there is great benefits personally for you as well as the country.
David, it's an honor for you to have in this segment. Thank you so much. And I'd like to take the opportunity in behalf of the Filipino people and from Our Excellency, the President of the Republic of the Philippines, Ferdinand Bong-Bong Marcos Jr. Thank you for choosing the country. Thank you for choosing Philippines. And hope to see you more.
Definitely.
A lot of days here in the country. Again, thank you, everyone. This is your host, EDMUND Santiago. And I would like to thank also Studio 88 Digital Media Production for powering this segment. Before finish the segment, again, thank you. And we're going to pause for a break.